most people that think they're very clever for not paying this end up costing them a lot more later on. Welcome back to another episode of
Business Mentor and
Investment Banker. Joe, which one are you?
I am the Business Mentor. And you are?
Well, I'm the Investment Banker.
I think the most awesome investment banker, by the way.
Oh, Joe, you're the most awesome, coach of companies and mentor. And, someone get me a dictionary with bigger words.
It's an honor and privilege to see you again.
So, Joe, question for you. Are numbers looked at during a sale of a company?
Yes. So, as you're growing the company, you've got your basic profit and loss and your balance sheet, and now your cash flow projections. How do we utilize that into the sale of a company?
Well, there's so much there. So one, depending on the size of the company, we'll look at financials a little bit different. But a lot of companies, when they go to be sold, sell at a rough range of multiples of either revenue or EBITDA. Now, EBITDA is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. And a company you'll hear, trade or sell between 4 and 8 times EBITDA, or maybe 1.5 times revenue if there's no profit or that. But you're trying to get those numbers because think about it. That $1 more of EBITDA, if it's selling at a multiple of, say, 10, just for simple math, your sales price is $10 more.
Wow. So that when you start diving into your financials, each dollar in net profit is worth $4 to $5.
If the EBITDA multiple is 4x, 5x EBITDA, yes.
And so that means every dollar that you cut out of your costs, if your revenue stays the same, goes right to the bottom line, which every dollar that you save is actually could be worth 4 or 5 based on the multiple.
Exactly.
So as I tell my clients, when you're starting to go down this path, you really need to start cleaning up your financials before you engage an investment banker or in that right away, so that they can help and we can help guide them to the best financials possible so they get the most money out of their company.
And the earlier you do this, the better. The reason why, Joe, is some people will say, I have this business, I have 2 sets of books. One that we use to pay taxes, one that's, what we're really earning. Well, some people think they're being very clever and they're like, oh yeah, I'm not paying taxes, I'm saving this money. But in reality, that means when they sell their company, there's not that 3 years of history.
Yes.
And, is the buyer really going to take that person's word for it? They might take a little bit of it, but not 100% of it. And that will affect the terms of the sales price. That will affect a lot. So in reality, most people that think they're very clever for not paying this end up costing them a lot more later on. Now, if they hold on to the business for 30, 40 years, that's different than if they're looking to sell in 5, but no one knows what's going to happen in the future. But Joe, I've cut you off 3 times.
Well, that's okay. It was one of the same things I said. You mean a business owner may not actually tell exactly the truth about their financials?
Hard to believe, but yes, that does happen.
Yeah, sometimes. So actually having clean books for 3 years is critical. So even though you think you're saving a couple dollars on taxes, it could cost you $1 could cost you 5 or 6 if you've got a 5 or 6 multiplier. So you really need to plan this and think about it and be strategic as you're going down the exit process.
And Joe, just to talk about that exit, a lot of people think, well, I'm not going to say a lot, but people do think, well, I'll do it this way until it's time to sell. Then I'll clean things up for those last 3 years. A lot of businesses aren't sold with this long-term 3-5 year plan. A lot of businesses are sold because there was a death. That's not planned for.
Right.
There was a divorce. That's not planned for. There was health issues. That's not planned for. There's a lot of things that cause a business to be sold that can't be planned for. And if those financials weren't cleaned up because an event happened that wasn't planned for, you're suddenly in a situation where, well, you might not be getting what the company's really worth.
Well, Shawn, I think we should talk about that in our next episode.
All right. Well, we'll save it for then.